Sajin sir, can you hear me? Sajin sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes. Let me ask my PBC, okay, to join,
Okay.
then we can start, okay?
Okay, okay.
Can you see your PPT? Can you share your PPT?
Yes, sure. Can you see it now? Hello? Hello? Can you see my PPT now?
Yes, sir, PPT visible.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so, so now you can off the sharing because we have to
Okay,
welcome.
okay.
Hello, sir.
Oh, okay.
कहाँ पर नाम
Okay.
कविता मैम प्लीज स्विच ऑन द कैमरा कविता मैम Sajid? Yes. So we have our Dean School of Business and Dean Computer Science Engineering, Dean School of Business,
Okay.
Professor Dr. Kavita ma'am, and Dean of Computer Science, Professor Dr. Munish Sarwar.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, all.
So I would like to invite both of them one by one. So for the welcome address, okay. So I would like to invite Kavita ma'am for welcome address. Ma'am.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, everybody. It's really been a pleasure to have this workshop here, and this was most awaited. I thank Dr. Sajil, for readily agreeing to be here with us, and we have good number of participants, almost 100 participants we have, and we were just looking forward to hear from you and not wasting too much of time with the formalities here. Look forward to hear from you, Dr. Sajid. Thanks. And I congratulate Dr. Abedner for arranging this event. And there are a couple of more events as well coming in the pipeline. And thank you, Dr. Ravindra, for arranging this particular session. Thank you. Welcome,
you,
Dr.
madam.
Sajid. Welcome.
Thank you, madam. I would like to invite Professor Munish Sarwar to give the welcome address. Sir.
So, a very good morning to one and all present, wherever you may be, for this workshop that has been organized by the Department of International Affairs. And the workshop is about, writing in LaTeX. And, LaTeX is basically a high quality typesetting system. It includes features designed for production of technical and scientific documentation. And LaTeX is one open source software which has become a de facto standard for communication and publication of scientific documents around the world. And what are the hassles that we face when we use a open source software for preparing some kind of a Word document, or we use MS Words? All these problems we do not face when we use the LaTeX, and this is a personal experience. And the LaTeX that has been developed by, I think, one of the GitHub team developers. So the whole essence is that you can prepare all your technical and scientific documents in a more systematic way, and you can very easily change them from the requirements of different journals that are there, and you can change as per the requirement of different journals. And I have been personally using it, both LaTeX and also been using through Overleaf. Overleaf is also a LaTeX implementation, so it has always helped. And for us to organize a workshop at the university level for budding researchers, people who would like to write research papers, write technical documentations, write reports, write, apply for DST projects, those kinds of things. LaTeX is a tool that would really help you achieve that that particular aspect in a very refined manner. And Dr. Sajil, who has been here and who has taken his time out to conduct this workshop, many thanks. And without taking much time, thank you very much for having me, and a good initiative from Department of International Affairs. And once again, a very good morning to one and all present. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So we are glad to inform you that we have our POVC, Professor Dr. B. Babu. Sir, I would like to invite sir to say something. Babu sir.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Dr. Ravindra. So a very good morning to Dean SOB, Dr. Munish, the team from GU, and the speaker for the day, Dr. Sajil. So on behalf of Galgodias University, Honorable Chancellor Sir Ismail Galgotia ji, our respected CEO Sir, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia, and our Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam Dr. Preeti Bajaj, and all the faculties and students. I extend a very warm welcome to you, sir. Welcome to Galgotias University. And we are looking forward to this event. Now talking about research paper and especially the research writing skills. We have seen that nowadays everyone is focusing on increasing the number of research output from their institution. So talking about that, it's high time that we tap the potential of the students who are doing their final year projects and who are interested in the field of research. So we give them all opportunities in guiding them in realizing their potential and to pursue research as a career. Gone are those days only when the students were thinking of getting a 9 to 5 job, getting a software job with a laptop and the earnings that they get. It's enough. Those days are gone. And now the focus is also on research about how to migrate to even foreign countries in search of the research talent. So having said that, these kinds of workshops really help the students in getting an idea of how to write a better research paper by using the technology that is available to them. So having said that, I'm pretty sure that initiatives like this will definitely help us move in that direction. And I once again thank the international team led by Dr. Rabindra in taking such initiatives. And my heartiest congratulations to him and Dr. Sajil. Thank you so very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and helping in guiding our students. Thank you very much, and my best wishes to the event. Thank you.
Now I would like to Dr. Sajil sir to take up the session.
Thank you all for the opportunity. I thank the university, Galgotia University, and the organizers for giving me the opportunity, especially Dr. Rabindra sir. Without much delay, let me start by sharing my screen. Can you see the slides? Can you see the slides now?
Visual, but your PPT
Okay.
is not.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. So, as you all know, I will start with giving you a brief introduction to what LaTeX is and when it should be used and what are the things we can do with it. I will start with the introduction, and then I would show you the various platforms, and we will gradually proceed from a very simple small document to much complex documents such as research papers or theses, etc. So you might be already familiar with other document typesetting systems such as Microsoft Word, LibreOffice, Google Docs, etc. LaTeX is an open source typesetting programming language that is aimed for creating technical documents, complex technical documents such as research papers, technical reports, books, presentation slides, academic documents, etc. So you can actually, in fact, create any type of documents, like even you can create brochures, etc. And as a side information, the correct pronunciation for LaTeX is either pronounced as LaTeX or LaTeX. So, like many of us, English is not our first language, but even if it's just an information for you. So it can be an alternative to Word, LibreOffice, Google Docs, etc. So now, when you want to use LaTeX, so what are the reasons? Where should one go for LaTeX over other systems such as Word, etc.? So I have compiled a list of reasons when and where you should use LaTeX and the reasons for that. So the first reason, as far as I'm concerned, is when you want to work on a complex or large document. So as students or professionals, when we work on things and we want to document our work to prepare documents, etc., at least once in your lifetime, you might have realized how difficult it is when you want to go for like documents having large number of pages, different chapters, different sections, subsections, images, tables, reference management, cross-referencing, etc. So the traditional softwares such as Word and LibreOffice, etc., has some features, but you might know when you put some space in some pages and it all automatically shifts everything to the next page and all your alignment, etc., gets
I think they called
distorted.
to enter in the Google form. I had to go because already I given hard copy and the number also we noted they given.
Hello, I'm getting some background noise.
No.
What?
I had to-
Sajid,
What did-
you can stop your video.
Yes.
The voice is breaking.
Sir,
Okay.
Or
what?
what Bala is saying.
Now he's calling me to his office to enter. Already I given number also.
Is it better now? Is it better now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So the thing is, like when you are working on a large complex documents, you have this problem of like you change one parameter or one put an extra space somewhere or a carriage return or an enter, and then everything your document shifts to some part and your arrangement or formatting gets destroyed. So this happens when you work with large complex documents. So LaTeX is an open source and cross-platform compatible typesetting programming language which allow you to precisely control such aspects. So you can give like specify like where should an image should come, where should how much width a certain paragraph should have, how much line spacing, how much like the styling of different things, the font size, etc. All of these things are programmatically controlled so that you will have a much precise control over these settings, and LaTeX take care of a lot of these background works for you. So you don't have to worry about like these issues once you start compiling a large complex document. And another reason for me is that when your document evolves as time passes, so many times as academicians, we don't start from writing from start to finish. We actually start from a very draft, then improves it, and it iterates over many iterations, and we get the final quality output. So when we are in that process, in a normal system or a normal document processing software, what we do is like we save it as like different versions, version 1, 2, 3, etc. But the thing with LaTeX is that you can actually comment out part. Suppose you want to change or remove one paragraph in between, you can always comment it out and then produce a new PDF output, portable document format output. And in some case, if you want to bring it back, then also you can easily bring it back by again uncommenting it. So those are the features. And the main reason, the most useful feature in LaTeX, which you will be, I think you will appreciate, is the easy and robust reference management. Because we all know, like when we are writing some research document, we need to like cite it and use the bibliography or the citations, references in certain format. So different journals require different format, different reports like proposals or research papers also require certain formats. So once you have done in a certain format, and if you want to change it into a different format, in other systems it is very hard. You have to manually go through everything, and you need to change it into other year format to then IEEE format, etc. But in LaTeX, all of these can be done with a single or a minimum set of commands. It will automatically adjust them. And another reason is like, if you are serious about the typesetting quality, I strongly encourage you, once you went through this workshop, and then you just create a single page document in your favorite document processing software and also in LaTeX, and take a printout of both and try to see the difference. You will definitely see a much better print quality with that of the document produced that of LaTeX. And another reason is like when your document is having a lot of mathematical contents, very complex equations, referencing, cross-referencing, etc. Then also you will see the power of LaTeX to compile such equations in very elegant and beautiful way. Okay. So this graph shows, this is for just for information when it should be used. For simple documents such as letters or 1-page or 2-page documents, it is always better to use the traditional things like Word or Google Docs, etc. But when it comes to when the document complexity grows, as you can see here, the effort required to create such documents in traditional platforms grows exponentially. But when it comes to LaTeX, when the document complexity grows, the effort required almost kind of saturates. So if you are working on a really complex book with a lot of chapters and images, etc., then when it comes to such documents, papers, thesis, books, and book series, etc., LaTeX is preferred. Okay, so since LaTeX is an open source typesetting language, there are many platforms with which you can use it. So I will be introducing you to 2 platforms. One is an online platform and another one is an offline platform. So you can actually set up these in your personal computer. For the online platform, you don't require like to set up anything. You just need to go to overleaf.com and sign up for an account. But for the offline platform, Text Studio is one IDE, the integrated development environment, where which you can type the commands and typeset the document and compile it, then you will get the PDF. So I will show the use of maybe Overleaf with all the small examples, and we will naturally or gradually proceed to the more complex documents. Okay, so the thing with Text Studio is that it is offline installed and you don't have to worry about like keeping it online and its security, etc. And it is faster processing because it is getting compiled within your PC itself. So it is relatively faster than the Overleaf. But in Overleaf, you are actually running it on a cloud system. So when you make a change and when you want to compare it again, there is a slight time delay involved with it. And so this is the graphical user interface of Text Studio. So I will share the instructions to how to install this platform, this Text Studio and LaTeX in in Windows and Mac or Linux. So I will share the link in the chat once we are over somewhere near the break session. So basically you will install the LaTeX software and then the IDE, the Text Studio IDE. So once you have installed it, you will have like mainly 3 windows when you open it. So you will have the place where you can type the commands. You will have a preview window where you can actually see the compiled PDF output. You will have a window for showing messages, like if you are getting some error or things like that, warnings, you will see in the bottom box here. And there is this green button called which is used for compiling, and you can actually see the changes when you compile it, and you can zoom in and see the output, etc. So there are some minor, the usual things like saving and clearing the auxiliary files, etc., and some formatting also. we will see these when we encounter such similar examples. So the plus thing with Overleaf is that we can actually work from anywhere. We don't have to worry about taking a backup and then moving to a different place. You don't have to take your files from your office to home or etc. Suppose you started working on your office PC and you completed it halfway through and you want to continue the work from your home, you can simply log on to your Overleaf account and edit it. So there is no installation or library issues involved with Overleaf because almost all the packages required for Overleaf is being available in or installed by the Overleaf engineers themselves. And you can actually sync up your files with Dropbox or GitHub, and you can also collaborate with other people in real time. Those are the features with Overleaf. The service of Overleaf is, as of now, is free, and it is a better platform for you to try out these examples and learn LaTeX as a beginner. Once you are familiar with the basics, you can always go for offline installation and build your documents there also. So to create an account, you can go to www.overleaf.com. You just need to sign up with your email and create a password. And there are few user interface. The user interface of Overleaf contains things like file window where you can create new files and where you can type, then visualizer window, errors and warnings, downloads, etc. So I will show these with an Overleaf account. So this is the home screen of Overleaf. So I have when you are logged in, you will be greeted with a basic page like this, and you can click on a new project to create a new LaTeX project. So I am opening already one of the basic project which I have shown. So this is the window where you can actually type in the basic LaTeX commands, and this file is saved as main.tex. You can give any name, but you need to save it as .tex file, just like we save a text file as .txt file. And once you are done that, you can click the compile button here. You can actually see the compilation going on with a blue line here. And once it's done, you can see the content of the document here as a PDF. So once you are done with the editing, you can actually go to click this button and download the PDF file also. So there are other file management things like you can actually create a new file, or you can create a folder here to organize all your images or all your references, etc. And those are all file management things, like creating a new folder, organizing files, etc. Those are basic things. Okay. So let me go back to the slides. Okay. So it has these features. So now let's start with a very simple LaTeX document. So I would give the examples. You can also parallelly try it out in Overleaf platform. Like you can go and sign up for an account and then try these examples. I will paste the link to a web portal where I have divided all these basic exercises. I will share the link also. Let me just try to share with you. So, okay. I will paste it in the chat. So you can go to this website, and here I have also documented the installation, offline installation instructions with respect to Windows or Ubuntu, whichever platform you use. You can just follow these instructions. If you really want to install the LaTeX in your home PC or Office PC, and you can try these examples in Tech Studio also. Just to be careful about, like, you need to install the things in the right order. Like, first you have to install this thing called MikTeX. Then you need to install the IDE called Tech Studio. So please be careful about that. And also with Ubuntu or Linux, you can follow to this video where there is a couple of commands. You can follow them and install both Tech Studio and LaTeX core files. So the only thing is that with Ubuntu, it takes a while because it tries to install every most frequent used library. So it has around almost 2 GB. So it may take some time depending upon your bandwidth. So for Overleaf, you don't need to install anything. You just need to create a free account at overleaf.com/register. And once you have that things on set up, you can actually try out these exercises like symbol document, print size, etc. 1, 2, 3, etc. So, okay, so we will go back to the basic example. So it starts with a command called /document class. In brackets, we have article. So what we are mentioning here is that the type of article. If you are trying to prepare a book or research paper, etc., here instead of article, we will be having a different name. So this actually sets the stage for the type of document. So books will be having like the margin, a different margin. The page number will be appearing in different style or size. Depending upon that, there will be some default setting for that document. So article is a basic document class, and with which you can create basic documents such as letters or one-page documents, etc. And you have another command called /begin in brackets document, which ends with /end in brackets document. So everything between begin document and end document is the thing that will actually appear to the once the PDF, once the LaTeX is compiled. So everything above that is kind of like loading libraries and giving settings, etc. So anything before /begin document is called preamble. That actually won't appear in the final document. But anything between begin document and end document is actually the content with which we want to put into our document. So everything in your .tx file before document is called preamble. And different document classes are like article, book, letter, report, slides, and many other custom made or specialized LaTeX classes such as IEEE format, PNAS format, etc. So one thing you need to be careful about when typing these commands is that you need to be a bit careful about the special characters. For example, the slash here, you can see here the slash here, the hash, dollar symbol, percentage, ampersand, brackets, etc. All of these are special characters which is used to denote the start or end or different features of the command itself. So if you put these things within your like actual content, it will actually create some bugs or warnings. So what you can do is, like, if you still want to put a bracket here and something inside that, you can actually override this special character feature by giving another backslash. So then it will be counted as like the actual symbol itself, so that it will appear in the final document. Okay, so this is a very big LaTeX document which you can imagine, and we will gradually add more and more features to it so that we can see the other features. We can learn move about like going with other features. Okay, so okay. So there are other things like you can write down the language and many other packages. So as we move forward, we will see the use of other packages and the different usage of that. So now a normal document, I'm adding more information to the basic example we have seen. So here, this is the same as the previous one, but you can see like there is a square bracket here, and I am passing two parameters. One is the font size, then next is the type of, like the, you already know the depending upon the margin and size of the paper, there are different names like A4 paper, A3 paper, letter paper, etc. All these things will be having the physical dimension different. So if you actually want to give that information, then LaTeX will assume that the print medium is that of that size, and everything will be placed according to that. Okay, and this package, the input encoding, is always recommended for any type of document you prepare. It is actually the character encoding thing with which you can actually represent a lot of different characters. So you can change these parameters, like if you want to use like other font size like 9, 11, 10 or 12, you can change this 12 into 10, and you can use different paper sizes like A4 paper, letter paper. You just need to change these parameters, and the recommended encoding is UTF-8. Okay, so let me try to show you that how to do that in Overleaf. So I am copying this command from here. So I'm deleting the already one and I'm pasting it here, and then I'm recompiling it. So you can see a green or a blue bar going here, and you get the preview PDF here. So if you type something else, then also you can see the changes into your PDF. So the content itself is changed. Okay, so with respect to the first example, this doesn't have much change. That is because what we have changed is like we gave the character encoding, then we gave the font size and the letter paper. The actual physical dimension of the PDF you are generating has changed, but we don't see a perceivable change because we are just previewing the PDF, right? Okay. Now, if you want, we need to, it is recommended to include the UTF-8 in all projects, which will help you with setting up different characters, different languages, etc. Okay, then now if you want to follow with this workshop, you can always try these examples, like copy the examples from the web portal I have shared, and then you can try these examples in Overleaf. Okay. Okay, so few things which you need to be keep in mind is that you always, since we are creating this document as a professional typesetting things, it is better, it is recommended to know the type of medium. So whether you are going to show the PDF to a screen, so just like I am showing the PowerPoint slides here, this PowerPoint is created using LaTeX. So I need to know the dimensions and at least the aspect ratio, the length and width, etc., so that I can adjust the things with the better quality. And then like the size of the paper which you are printing, the A4 size, its margins, etc., so that you will have a precise control over different aspects and you will have a good quality output. Okay. So the basic thing is like you can actually check it for the dimension of A4 paper and letter paper and see the physical dimensions once you are all done with this workshop and see how it differs. Okay, so now we are adding some more features. Like I want to change the margins, like the top margin, left margin, right margin, bottom margin, etc. So to do that, we can actually use the package called geometry. So the general use of any package is like /use package, the package name in curly braces. Okay, so within the square brackets, we can pass the different parameters. So here I am mentioning like I'm using a paper of size A4 and I need to have the text area to have a width of 145 millimeter. Leave a space of 30.5 millimeter at the top, same at the bottom, and also leave a space of 6 millimeter in the left side for binding. So if you are writing a thesis or a book, then obviously you need to leave extra space at the left side for the binding, because the binding takes some space, right? So how do we know like these settings? We can actually Google like LaTeX geometry package, and it will be having many parameters inside that. So I am only showing these 4 or 5 parameters, but you can actually go to the package PDF. There will be a well-documented PDF for every LaTeX package, because everything is open source, right? So you can actually read through it and you can actually find it out other features which you might be able to, which you might need in your work. Okay, so the width controls the text width, the top and bottom controls the vertical spacing, and the binding offset is to give space for the binding space. So let me show you that. So we are gradually adding more and more complexity to the document. So see, here I have the same thing like /document class, font size, paper size. Then I am overriding that with like, no, I don't want to use a letter paper. I want to use an A4 paper with these many width and margins using the geometry package. And then I am beginning the document and ending the document. And within that, I have some cooked up content. So let's try to compile that. See, here, I think you can see the PDF output. So you can see the paragraph, everything between begin document and end document appears here. So one thing you might have noticed, like there is a slight indentation happening here, which is happening automatically. We haven't given anything here. So the thing you need to be careful about that. Even if you give some space here or 2 space or 3 space here, it doesn't make any change to the actual output. So there are specific way to make, like if you want to leave some space between like first word to second word, some custom space. There are methods to do that, which we will see. So the default setting is like every paragraph will come with a indentation. So if you want to override that settings, you can add some additional commands. So to do that, I can type /no indent and then recompile it again. So here now the indentation is gone. So that way you can override the default settings. So you might need to use like these things whenever you don't want to have an indentation. And there are other many commands, small commands, which we will see as we progress. Okay, so okay, now what will happen if I break the paragraph here? So I'm breaking the whole paragraph into 2 paragraphs and then again recompiling. Can you predict the output? It will appear as 2 paragraphs. Again, for the second paragraph, there is some indentation. And if you want to override that, you can again give no indent. So one thing here, one nice feature it has is like Overleaf has is like it will automatically list out all the commands that start with that few letters. So once you are familiar with LaTeX, you don't have to really worry about like remembering every command. You just need to vaguely remember that. So, okay, there is a command called indentation. no indentation and it starts with no slash no indent, then you can type those characters and it will list out and you can type it. So another thing which you might have noticed that there is no spacing between first paragraph and second paragraph, because even though we gave some, if we gave some space here, it won't reflect in the PDF. So you need to mention it here. So the usual way is that you can give 2 slashes, which is actually equivalent of that of the ender, like we are giving a carriage return here. Then it will have some specific spacing associated with that, and you can actually see the space change here. Okay. And if you want to leave out some specific length, vertical length, you can actually give, we will see those commands, or I can show it here itself. Like if you want to leave some specific vertical spacing, you can give like V space. V space stands for vertical spacing. So suppose I want to leave out like 2 centimeter, you can give it in centimeter or inches, whatever you want, and it will actually leave that many space, that many like precisely that many physical space between these paragraphs. Okay. So okay, so we will move with like basic features and formatting. So one thing is that if you want to change the font size, there are some default font sizes available. Like you can give like tiny, script size, footnote size, normal size, small size, large, huge, etc. So here I have shown the respective commands and its output. So these will be the font sizes and its output, the commands and its respective outputs. You can actually try this within your document. So let me show you that. So I want to make it into a large font. So what I will do is like, I don't want an intent. So no intent, you can use the autocomplete feature and slash, you want to have it in a large font. Please be like, make sure that when you open a bracket and you close it also, otherwise it will throw some error. So see, the font size for that is changed. Okay, then like similarly, you can actually change the size to script size, footnote size, small size, etc. So you can actually go to the documentation of Overleaf, where they have detailed explanation of what are all these sizes and how you can change these. Okay, so now we will move to other basic features and formatting. There are, I have shown you already how to use the feature of auto completion and selection so that you don't have to remember the whole command set of LaTeX. And then other feature is commenting out, commenting and uncommenting. So let me show you that. Suppose I worked with document and I gave an first, create a first draft, and I want to, for some reason, I showed it to my boss and he don't want to have the second paragraph. Then I don't have to delete the whole paragraph. What I can do is like, I can select and press command slash, command forward slash. The backslash is this one, the forward slash is this one. So once you have done that, you can see that it is commented out. Now, if you compile the document, this paragraph won't appear in your final PDF, but the content still is there in your actual .tex file. And for some reason, if you want to bring it back or part of it, you can actually select again and press Control forward slash again, then it will uncomment. then you can recompile it again, then your PDF is back to the previous condition. So this is a nice feature which actually will help you even suppress a chapter when you are working with a thesis, and you don't want to like compile the whole document every time. So especially if you are working with overleaf, it will take some time, right? This is a simple document, that is why we are seeing the result in like less than a second or so. But when it comes to like thesis or reports with like 200 or 300 pages, it will take some time. So since if you are working on chapter 4 and you don't want to compile, you don't want to make some changes to chapter 4, and you don't want to compile every other chapters every time you make some changes, you can actually suppress all those chapters for a while, complete your chapter 4, and then you can actually compile the whole documents once you are done with all the changes. So the commenting out and uncommenting feature has a lot of use when you actually come to the work. Okay, now I have shown you the escape sequence, like giving 2 backslashes for a paragraph break, and you can actually give like vertical spacing between paragraph, like giving /v space command. And I have shown you indentation. Now we have the basic formatting things like how to boldface, italics, underline, etc. So to create a text part boldface, in overleaf you need to actually give like /text bf in brackets, whatever be the content you want to be in bold. So here I have given /text bf greatest. So the greatest will appear as bold-faced. And if you want to underline the part science here, you can actually give underline in bracket science. And here actually I want to make the word accident in both boldface and italics also. So here actually it should appear as boldface and italics. Since this is PDF PPT, I think it just appeared as boldface only. There is some bug here, but it should actually appear as boldface and italics. So to do that, I am actually boldfacing it using text italics, and then again giving a command called text bf to make it bold. So you can like overlay many commands and get additional like cascade of functionalities. Okay, so if you want to try that example, yeah, I think it is here. Okay, so it has some additional paragraph also. So as you can see here, see here it is appeared as both boldface and italics. And yeah, there is the vertical spacing which we have seen, the preamble things, the 2 paragraphs, and it appears as indented because we are not using no indent. Okay. So now if you want to like even give colors, then also you can use the use things like text coloring, text color. So here you are mentioning the content as well as the color it should appear, the parameter. Here it is actually giving it in brackets also. So here I want to appear the green, the word green in green color and red in red color, and careful in red color. So I am giving some commands for that. So you can try this if you want. Okay. Okay, so if you want to try the examples, you can always try that, these basic documents, basic features. Okay, now we will move with one additional package. So this is just to show you the normal use of any new package. So here I am showing a package called draft watermark, which is actually used to put watermark to the documents and how to control its lightness and scale, the size of it. But the usual usage of any package would be like that. You need to add the /use package command to the preamble along with its respective settings. Otherwise, it will appear with the default settings. And if you want to change certain settings, you can give commands like set watermark lightness and set watermark scale, etc. So let's try that example. So the things like text BF and text italics, etc. There are, if you are using Text Studio, there are options to, without typing, you can give that. Like just like when we highlight a certain part of Word and click the bold button, it will appear as bold. Just like that, in Text Studio, there is a feature with which you can actually highlight the part and press the bold button. Then it will enclose everything between selected between area in a command called textbf. Okay. Let me see. I think I have the example of watermarking. Okay, this one. Let me try this. So here I have the similar content as I showed before, and then I have added one package called draft watermark, and then I have changed it. See, here I have given set draft watermark text as preview only. So I want to appear the text called preview only here in the PDF as a watermark. And then I want to change, if I want to change the size, I can change that, appear it as smaller or larger. If I want to change the lightness, control the lightness, I can do that also. So it's much more faded. So likewise, you can use watermark package. Okay. So you can try an example to create a basic document with watermark in your system. Okay, now we will see how we can split a document into two different columns, like single column or double column, single side or double side, etc. So to do that, actually, we can simply make a document two column by giving the command two column in the document class command as a parameter. So here we have this document. I'm gonna give it like two column. Let's see what will happen. See, so now it appeared as a two column document. We can only see one column because there is only content, only few content here. If we have additional content, it will put this appear in the second column also. So you will start from here and you will fill from in the first column in the beginning, and the next content, the remaining content will appear in the second column. I think I will paste it again, then you will see that these are just dummy text, so it's okay to do that. So I will just, for a demonstration, see. Now you can see that you don't have to worry about like where to place it or how to place the margin, etc. It will naturally adjust the things with respect to the space and settings we have given. It will appear as a beautiful two-page document. And the other thing is, like, if you want to change the line spacing, the default line spacing is 1. So if you want to change the line spacing to 1.5, you can use this command called rnew command baseline stretch 1.5 to change that. So let me show you that. Yeah, this command. So see, now the line spacing is changed. It is 1.5 line spacing here. And if I remove the 2-column parameter from here, then you will get a document with 1.5 line spacing in a single column document, as a single column document. So you can actually use a variety, a combination of various these settings according to your requirement. Okay. So yeah, then yeah, okay. So the one side or double side is like you will see the difference on with respect to the page numbers. So if you have given one side as parameter, then it will count like it won't, when it comes to printing the document, it won't count the other side of the page, other side of the paper. It will always assume that it will appear in the one side of the page. So if you have given the page number in the left and right side of the document, then when it comes to one side document, it will always appear in one side. But if you want to have a two-side document, then you need different numbering, different styling for the page numbering, because for the if you open a textbook, you have the left page and right page. And if it is two-sided, then you need the page number to appear in the lower right side of the right side page. But for the left side page, you need to have the page number in the lower left side. So all those settings, if you are using all those settings, then you need to mention whether you are writing a one-side document or a two-side document, so that this numbering will taken care of the LaTeX itself, and you don't have to worry about its styling. It will appear automatically. Okay. So this exercise is like to create a double-side document with 1.5 line spacing and 2-column document. Okay. Now we will see how to add figures to the LaTeX document. So the inserting of figures is done by using a package called GraphicsX package, and there are certain parameters to that which we will see. There is a command called centering if you want the figure to appear in the center of the text width area. And there is option for captioning, labeling, how much width it should take, and the label for cross-referencing. I will show you that. So you need to add the /use package GraphicsX in the preamble, and the remaining thing will appear in the after the begin document. So I will show you this example. Let me see. Okay. I am Hello?
Hello. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
Okay, okay. Where did you lost the signal? So I was talking about the figures, right? So were you able to hear that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are able to follow.
Okay, okay, okay. So I will continue with the figure part, right? Okay. So I'm copying this command and then pasting it. Let me show you how to do that. Just a second. I need to close this. Okay. Okay, so let me remove this. So I have some, see, here I have some dummy content, some placeholder text, and I want to place a figure in between after the first paragraph. So to do that, what I am doing is like I'm giving a command called /begin figure. So everything that starts with /begin figure will end with /end also. So here we have /begin figure /end figure, and I want to appear the image ascended, like justified or not justified, as formatted at the center of the text. Now I want to include a figure called photo.jpeg to appear here. So to do that, I am using a command called /include graphics, and I am giving photo.jpg in the brackets. And I want this photo to take a width of 50% of the whatever text width available. So this is a good practice, because if you are using 2-column formats, then you know you may have only half of the total text width. So whatever text width is available, you can mention like how much percentage of that it should take. And then I want to have it a caption of called the universe, and this labeling is for cross-referencing, which I will show you in a minute. So since I am using the Overlay platform here, I need to upload that figure also. So let me try to upload that. So I'm uploading a figure. So here I have actually uploaded it here. So now the figure name is universe, so I need to change it here also. The figure name is universe. It actually like auto completes it whenever you type it. If you have uploaded the right files here, and when you type the initial characters, it will auto complete. Now let's compile it again. See, the figure appeared here, and it is taking exactly 50% of the text width. The text width is this much. Whatever the area, the text is appearing, and it is taking 50%. If I want to increase that, I can give like if I want to take 70%, I can give 0.7. Then it will be a bigger picture, like it will taking more width. So always the width is adjusted here, so that the length also will naturally scaled up depending upon the aspect ratio of the image. So this is the recommended way of putting a figure here. And the most very useful feature is the labeling feature. So here I am, as you will see the same thing with other parts also. Like if you want to refer some sections, then you can use the similar thing. So just be careful about this. Like you can give like /label fig. You can give any name inside this bracket, but I am following naming convention such that I know every figure starts with fig colon, so that whenever I want to refer one figure in between a paragraph, I can just type /ref and the name. So I will show you. So suppose I want to mention about this figure here. So what I will do is like shown in, I will give /ref, then a bracket will appear, and I will give this name. Big universe. Let's see what will happen appear here. See, here the figure numbering is appeared automatically here. I haven't mentioned the figure number here, but in the PDF, actual PDF, it is actually giving the number. So suppose if you have another figure here, then also it will, the numbering will taken care of the LaTeX. I will show you that. I'm pasting this again. So this will count it as another figure, but I am actually using the same figure for demonstration. But I need to change the label also. We cannot give same label for every object. We need to give different labels for different objects. So here this is 1, this is 2. I'm recompiling it. See, now the label is different, right? So I have given universe and here universe 1 here and universe here, so it won't recognize. So if I want to refer to the second picture, I can give like slash. Once you have done that, it will actually show the auto completion feature will actually show this and shown in figure 2. And see, if I want to refer both of these figures, see if I want to, so here I want to refer figure 2 first and figure 2 second, figure 1 second. So see, the numbering is automatically taken care of. You don't have to worry about the numbering. So here you are mentioning about the second figure and here you are mentioning about the first figure. So one of the useful feature in LaTeX is that you can cross-reference anything from anywhere. So you don't have to worry about the numbering. Suppose you add one more chapter in between your document, and again you need to change in normal systems. Again you need to change every numbering, every equations, etc. But in LaTeX, this is the most useful feature. You don't have to worry about that. You just need to give the correct referencing, labeling, etc. Then everything will be automatically adjusted whenever you add a new chapter or new figure or etc. Okay. Okay. So I talked to you about like loading the GraphicsX package for inserting image. There is a couple of other things. So I want to appear the figure as centering. That is why I'm giving centering here, the caption here, the label I mentioned, the include graphics I mentioned, and the width also I mentioned. Here we have one parameter called h in the begin figure that actually corresponds for where we want to, where within the page the LaTeX automatically adjusts the position of the figure. So if you really want the figure to appear at the top, then I think it is the command is T. Okay, here, so here the figure will appear in the top of the page. So you are actually inserting the figure after the first paragraph, but you want it to appear at the top of page, every page, then you can give T. And there are other couple of like H, a capital H, which is actually forces it to appear in the exact same place where you put this command. So there are a couple of features like that, but especially this comes useful when you are like typesetting IEEE papers and etc. There is, I think, a requirement that you need to put every figure at the top of the page. So this feature comes in use in that context. Okay, so this is the inserting figure and referencing it later. These are the other parameters which you can pass, like H is approximately, H tries to approximately put the image in the same as the source text, and T is at the top, B is at the bottom, and H is precisely at the location of LaTeX code. So to do that, we need to include another package called float package. Like just like we gave like /use package graphics6, we need to give /use package float. And the exclamation, you can use H with exclamation to override the default settings. Okay, now there is another things like putting figure 1A and 1B. How to do that? So to do that, we actually use a combination, or we use like begin figure, end figure, and then there is a command called sub figure. It is same as the command we just saw before, but here it start with slash sub figure, and every other parameter is same. So in this example, actually I have two figures which I want to appear in side by side, and I want to take figure 1 40% of the text width and figure 2 40% of the text width. And there is a you might have seen in journals or papers or books, there is like referring figure 1A and 1B side by side, or it can be like any other thing, like 2 column one row, or 2 columns and 2 rows, etc. So you can use the sub figure option to control that, and then you can refer it also using the respective labeling. Let me try to show you that sub figures. If I have, okay, I have the example here. So I want to see, okay, here it appears as left and right, but I need to change the file name, because here I have mentioned it as photo.jpeg, but I actually only have universe.jpg. So I need to change that. Okay. You're also changing that. And you are giving begin sub figure, end sub figure, begin sub figure, end sub figure. This one you need to take 25% of the text width. This one you need 25% of text width. And this one, I'm using the same figure for both things. And the caption is universe 1 and universe 2. And the label name is figure A and figure B, which I will use later for referencing. See, here it appears as left and right. As you can see figure A, universe 1, B, universe 2, etc. And I am referencing it back here. So I'm first referencing figure A and then referencing figure B. So the numbering automatically appears here, 1A and 1B, 1B here. So you don't have to worry about these things. It will take care of this cross-referencing, numbering, etc. So this is how you put images side by side. Like this way, you can actually put like 2 rows and 2 columns, or 2 rows and 3 columns, etc. So you just need to use the sub figure and respective width also. Then only it will appear. If you give like in total like more than the text width, then it will throw some error, because you need to appear it side by side, and you need each figure to take 25% or 50%. They together should only constitute 100%. Okay. You can practice with the figures. And now we will see how to add sections and subsections. So let me show you that. Okay, will just delete this, and I want to have like section. I want to have like one section, and then I want to have another section. Let's try to compile this. See, here it will appear as 0.1 first and 0.2 second. If I want to add another subsection, I will give subsection. Like I give A and B. So the numbering will automatically taken care of later. You don't have to worry. This one appears as like 0.011, 012, A and B appear here, And likewise, you can give it here also. So let me show you some use with that. So here within begin document and end document, I have like section 1, main heading, section 2, main heading 2, and within section 1, I have like subsection 1 subsection, and even that subsection, inside that subsection, I have another one more subsection. So I think you can add like 4 or 5 levels of subsections that will appear within that. See, this is main heading 1, main heading 2, and within main heading 1, you have 2 subheadings, subheading 2 and subheading 3. And within each subheading, you have some other content within that. So numbering automatically comes here, and you can give the label for these section headings also. Just like I showed you like how to give a label to an image and references it later. You can give a label to each section by giving it like slash label right after you when you enter slash section brackets, and then you can refer it back. So here what I have done is like I have given a label called experiment for the subsection within subsection 2. So in subheading 3. So I am referring that in somewhere in the paragraph. So the introduction section slash ref experiment deals with the setup. Then again when I compile it, see, so it will appear, the section number will appear here. You don't have to worry about like giving 1.1.1 every time you refer it. So if you add another more subsection, what will happen? Or another section, what will happen is like this numbering will change, right? So like I gave another section, then numbering will change, and that should reflect here also. So you don't have to worry about giving the numbering or changing it every time. So I have added one more section here, intermediate here. So naturally every numbering gets updated, and also the referring part also get updated, and you don't have to worry about every time like whether it will be correct or not, or go back and check it again, etc. So this comes extremely useful when you like compare like reports or papers or thesis, etc. This is the most, like in other platforms, this is the most common error which occur. Okay. Now we will see how to add like ordered and unordered lists. So there are many other features or packages with which you can add like list, or for every one of these examples I have shown you, there are many packages exist, but I am showing the basic and default packages to get certain functionality. So I have tried to compile all the functionalities that would normally require for a PhD student or a faculty or a postdoc. So this one is to list out items as bullet points or as enumerated numbers. So we will see the example. Okay, so I'm giving the command here, begin document, end document, and I'm giving begin itemize, end itemize. I want 2 items within that. In case of enumerate, I want 3 items within that. What's the difference between itemize and enumerate? One is bullet point and one is numbering. Okay, so let's compile this. See, here I have added item 1 and item 2, and it appears as bullet point list. And here I have task 1, task 3, task 2, which appear as enumerated. What will happen if I add one item, one more? Like if I want to add a sub item, I think it's sub item. I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah. So if I want to, like, there is one more level down, like I want to add another item inside item 1. So I have given that. And when it comes to enumerate also, you can add like item. See, so the like numbering automatically gets updated. Earlier, task 3 was coming as 2 and task 2 was coming as 3. Now I have added one more item in between that. So the numbering automatically gets updated. So this is with enumeration and itemize. And there are, I think there are other features like how to give it in Roman numbers. Here I have only shown it as numerical numbers. If you want to appear it as no Roman numbers, I think you can pass it as parameters like brackets, and I think there is some command for that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but you can certainly find it in the OverLeaf documentation or LaTeX documentation. You can just Google that and find it out. It's very simple. Okay. So you can actually practice with creating different sections and lists, referencing, cross-referencing, etc., images, etc. So when it comes to your final document, you will have to use all of these features, right? Or a combination of these features. Okay. Now when it comes, how do we insert equations in our document? So actually there are two ways. You can put the equation inside your document. You can put it as an inline equation and an equation with numbering. So inline equation is not much frequently used, but sometimes you need to add inline equation also. So the difference is that here I have shown it as E equal to mc square as an inline equation, and it doesn't have a numbering, right? But here I have given it as a equation with the numbering. Okay, so how to do that? Let me show you. So example. So if I want to add E equals mc square, I have to put it inside the dollar symbols. So let me compile it. So whatever appears inside two dollar symbols, it will be treated as a equation, LaTeX equation, and it will compiled and shown the output. Here I want to appear E equals mc to the power of 2. So the symbol, caret symbol, is used here. And here I'm showing the another example like mx plus c, this equation, as a numbered equation. To do that, I will be giving like begin equation, end equation, and inside that you need to write the mathematical expression. So here you don't need to give the dollar symbol because this is not an inline equation. So in this document, I have given two equations. This mx plus c and then this one, and you can see that the numbering is automatically coming here. So if I change the order here, then also it will naturally shuffles. The first one goes to the second and second one goes to the first. Okay, so there are many features with equations like how to create fractions, etc. We will see a few examples of that. So if you want to have a fraction, you can give like slash fraction, and within the first bracket you need to give the numerator, and the second bracket you need to give the content which is to be appeared in the denominator. So let's see, a divided by a plus b, and you need to, if you want to like cascade many functionalities. You can gradually add more and more functionalities and add one functionality on top of another functionality and create the complex equations. For example, if I want to have the a plus b whole square here, what I can do is like I can give a bracket and then caret symbol and square. So earlier, if you have noticed, we have given only caret symbol and 2 here. We haven't given a bracket to the c. So here we want the squaring to appear for both a plus b. That is why we are giving the bracket. Suppose if I have given only caret symbol and then 2, then the squaring will appear only for b only. So you have to be careful about that. So whatever functionality you want, you need to be careful about the bracket, the grouping of the things. Then only it will appear as in the exact form which you want. But it's very simple. If you we will see a few examples, and you will get to know how to do that. Okay. So there are many sub features within equations, like how to add a subscript, superscript, symbols, grouping, fractions, brackets, operators, integrals, sums, etc. So we have already seen how to add a superscript, how to add an exponent term, etc. And now we will see how to add a subscript to that. So if I want to have b of 1 here and a, okay, a, or I will give ai and bj. So we will see the subscript here. See, a divided by ai bj. What if I want I to be common of both a and b? What I can give is like I can give a bracket here and give underscore I. So the I of I is for both a plus b. See, the subscript appear here. And symbols grouping. Okay, let's see. So if I want to compile this equation, f equal to g times m1 m2 by r square. So here we have a fraction, here a multiplication, 2 subscripts and 1 superscript. Let's see how to do that. So what I will do is like f equals g times I need a fraction, right? So I give fraction, and in the superscript in the numerator I want m1 m2 m2 by r square. So let's see what will happen. See here the fraction appears here, the g appears here, 1 and 2 appears for m1 and m2, and r is squared. Likewise, you need to combine many features, like for like binomial expansion or factorial, etc. There are certain features to that, and for creating like partial derivatives or derivatives also, there is also features for that. And there are special symbols like sigma or mu, pi, etc. Right. So to do that, I think I have the examples here. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that specific equations. I think you can find these examples, specific examples, in the overleaf documentation itself. Let me try to show you how to add the symbols. So if I want a fraction, 1 by square root of 2 pi is QRT 2 pi. So for the pi, you can use the symbol pi. So it will appear as here, C. So likewise, you have like for sigma, like if you want sigma square here, what you can give is like sigma square. Or you have all the Greek symbols to appear, and mu, kappa, lambda, etc. So you can refer to the documentation because you won't be able to remember everything, but you just need to get a hang of the basic feature. And I think exponentiation is like you have exp, I think. Sure. I think it's exp. Yeah, that's where it will appear, or not, certainly not. I think there is some other expression for that. Okay. So the main thing is like you just need to follow the specific order to compile it in the right way. And you can cascade different functions to get the desired equation. And the numbering will automatically appear here. And similar thing, like you can give the reference name to different equations, and then you can call back or refer back those equations whenever you want. Okay, now I will show you another package, which is the hyperreferencing package, which is nothing but you can actually like give the hyperlink to different sections. So just like I showed you, like you can cross-reference different images, sections, equations, etc. So you will see the numbering appearing for the whenever the referencing happening, and you can actually enable the hyperlink to that section so that when the PDF is compiled and someone clicking that link, it will go to that respective image or respective section. So we will see that, and it will give some nice colors also, so that you will be able to see whether there is a hyperlink or not. Okay. So the only additional thing I have added is like I have added a package called /use package hyperref, and then I have given some settings here. See, here I have a label for main heading, and then a label for like subsection here, and I am referring that subsection from here within the content itself. So this part appears in blue color, which means it's a hyperlink. So see, when you click it, it will actually go to this part of the PDF. So this is a simple one-page PDF. That is why you are not seeing the difference. But if it was a different, like having multiple pages, and I am having this content in like page 3 and this content in page 1, and if I click here, it will naturally skips to that respective page. So this is a nice feature, which actually you don't have to do anything extra to have this feature. You just need to add the package and give the setting. So you can actually change the colors, like if you are having URLs within your text content, you can give it a certain color like blue, magenta, red, or green, or whatever you want, and you can actually control those things, the colors of the PDF hyperlinks. Okay. Now let me show you how to insert tables. So by far, whatever we have seen, inserting tables is like, for me, I think it's a bit like complicated compared to like inserting figures or other things. But there is an alternative for that. I will show you that. Suppose, so this is basically the template code for a table. You will start with begin table. you want the table to appear as center, and then you want to have like 3 columns and 2 rows, and then some captioning for the table and label for referencing it later, and you have some content, right? So this is the first row. I'm giving some numbers: 174, 77, 32, 32, 150, 55, 28, etc. I want to, after this first row, I want a separate row. So I am giving the 2 backslashes, and this is the header of the table, like height, weight, and age. And I want to have a horizontal line to appear after the header and before the header. That is why I'm giving /h line here. So with this, you can actually try, and you can actually justify the columns. Like here, I want the first column to be justified towards the left. That is why I'm giving L here. Here, I want these numbers to be centered. And the last column also, I want to have centered. That is why I'm giving C, C, and L. So, but there is a tool for that. Text table generator. Yeah, this is a very good option for you if you want to have some to create a table quickly without typing the whole LaTeX code. Like you can give like wait. You can basically type the content and then create all the features, especially if you want to give some coloring. Like I'm giving some dummy data, and if I click generate, it will appear as a LaTeX command. You can just copy this command and then paste it into your TX file, and you will get the table. But the way I am showing this is that you can actually add a certain lot more functionality. So if I want to change it into a full grid, then I can right away change it that. And if I want to make it boldface, the first row, and if I want to change the color of the first row and second row, see these kind of things you can like adjust these things and then again generate. So this will get a bit more complicated. So writing it like typing the commands and giving it for a table, it will be a bit difficult, at least at the initial stage. But with this tool, you can actually create like good tables and without actually making a bug or error in your table LaTeX code. Okay, so that is with tables. So, but if you want to change any of those parameters, once you have the code, you can actually change it inside also. Okay. So this is the basic table I have shown you, and with the content, it doesn't have a grid like structure. It has only the horizontal line before and after the header, and then 2 rows and 3 columns. But you can add additional functionalities with the table generator tool. And when it comes to footnotes, actually you can actually do it in 3 different ways. Like if you have some content and you want to add a footnote to that content, you can simply give like /footnote and the note, whatever note you want to have. Let me try to show you that. Just deleting the old content. So for here I have a line, first line, and then I want to add a footnote to that. So I can just footnote, and I'm giving a footnote. So it will appear in the bottom footnote part. You will see a number here, and corresponding to that number, the footnote will be placed automatically. Suppose if you add another footnote here, footnote like first word. So here you have placed two footnotes, one for the first word and then for the line. So see, now the numbering gets updated, like it will appear as if in the order we placed it. So this footnote appear first and this footnote appear second. So we will see numbering 1 and 2, and we will see its respective footnotes at the bottom part of the document. And since we have already loaded the hyperlink hyper reference package, the color is changed, and whenever you click, it will go to that part of the document. So that way you can add footnotes. Now, when you have, there are other ways, like you can add a footnote mark, like type 2. You can give like footnote mark command and then again footnote, or you can use this command to give a Roman numbering style footnote. So that way also you can try that. Let me try to see. I have that example. Okay. Here I'm pasting it again. Okay. See. So yeah. So here I have added a footnote like in the first example I have shown you. And here I am adding with a different method, but that also appears here. Yeah, those are the two things I have shown in this example. Yeah, yeah. Okay, now, yeah, I think like we have remaining content here. I think it's time for the break, and I think I can show you the rest of the content, rest of the things after the break. Is that fine? Hello, Professor Ravindra?
Hello, hello.
Yeah, is it time for break?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So
Just a minute, sir. Just a minute.
Okay. So we'll meet at 1 p.m. Okay.
okay,
Session. Okay. So please, all the participants, please join again at 1 p.m. after break. Okay. Sir, Sajil sir.
yes, yes.
So do not end the meeting. Meeting will be
Okay, okay,
and
okay,
so we'll meet at 1 p.m. for the second session.
okay, okay.
We can elaborate in details in advance.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, dear participants. We can meet at 1 p.m. You can take your lunch meanwhile. We'll shortly start at 1 p.m. Thank you. Yes. And the feedback form will be issued during any time in the second session. And those who are filling the feedback form, they alone will get the certificates. For both the sessions, we will be combinedly issuing the feedback form, and the certificate will be issued at the end of the session.